Welcome to City on a Hill Gaming, a tabletop RPG podcast.
Welcome, travelers, to the world of Celensar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jaren. I was once the High Magi of the Kingdom of Thatzerin, serving His Majesty King Kendall. Now I am simply a traveling Magi, serving at the side of my friend and fellow adventurer, Kendall. Oh, and also his daughter, Aelaton. She's become something of a cleric lately, I suppose. But enough about me and what I'm doing. I should start with where you are, dear friends. Many of you are probably new to the Kingdom of Thatzerin. Some of you may even be new to the world of Celensar completely. But never you fear. I will teach you what I can. Where to begin? Where to start? Well, friends, let me tell you about Jehovah Jireh, our provider. Ah, you know the name. Excellent. Part of my life's mission as a Magi is to see that others get the same opportunities to experience Yahweh like I have. Our creator and provider is magnificent. All in Celensar know his name. Granted, not all of them know him the same way I do. To the dwarves, he is the rock. He's their foundation. For the Tabaxi, he's the lion, the strength of our pride. To some, he is the shaper, the one who creates all. But to all, he is Yahweh. He provides for us, protects us, and formed us. He is the foundation of everything that is Celensar. And to him, we are eternally grateful. So let me tell you about Yahweh's creation. Celensar is a world full of many various races and groups of people. Many you are familiar with, like dwarves and elves. And maybe a few you aren't so much, like Tritons and the Ashino. Even the Warforged are a part of Yahweh's creation, though they were created by others. They are a wonderfully curious creation. The world you are currently visiting is very roughly, subdivided into 9 regions. These rough borders have existed in their current form for roughly 725 years. Some are peaceful and even beneficial. Some are not. No one has returned from across that region in 125 years. Most just call it the Unknown Shores now. The older records talk about I should save that for another time. It should be a surprise. Many of the stories you've heard the local bards tell are from the land of Thatzerin, a mainly human and elven kingdom. That land has experienced some turmoil of late. Merfolk, a race of unusual sea creatures from the east, have invaded. Their king and the king of Thatzerin had a falling out over a trade agreement gone wrong. The king, rightly so, accepts the blame in the situation. Nevertheless, a brave group of adventurers rose up to help defend the kingdom. They soon marched to the capital of Kion, and as I waited hopeful, they were successful. Yahweh bless them. However, lately I've been hearing the beginnings of a most interesting story from the lands in the south. Some know it as Angwaru. Quite a mixture of curious people call it home. Even a great dragon is said to live there. And a wandering group of most dangerous travelers searching for their master. I would avoid the desert to the far south. Just trust me on that one. What else to tell you? Oh, the Kingdom of Solitude. Yes, a most interesting land. A land largely inhabited by giants, quite literally. Most of the population is made up of Goliaths. A few venture south out of Solitude, but many stay put. The kingdom tends to itself and deals little with others. Those wishing to visit would be most likely to explore Kebron, the capital city. The one neighbor of Solitude does have an interaction with would be Igala, land of the Aarakocra. My apologies, of course. The Aarakocra are a race of avian beings. Beautiful, beautiful winged creatures they are. Friendly in general, but often secluded by the preference for height in all things. None are truly sure what brings the two kingdoms together, but I'm glad the bond exists. Knowledge of the Goliath involvement keeps those who would hunt the flighted ones at bay, and the Aarakocra make excellent long-distance scouts for the Goliaths, who have one of the more interesting other neighbors in our land. Located to the east of Solitude, in the Ocean of Eternal Depths, are the Shards of the Raging Force. Having never been there myself, I can only tell you what the stories tell. 3 shards of ice held in place by 3 giant shards of iceberg, held in place by a mysterious force in the middle of the ocean. In between them exists some form of land. None are really sure who created the area or what keeps it alive and together, but it is most unusual. An incredible mystery, buffeted by the fact it sits in the open ocean and is quite near the unknown shores. Let me look at my notes, dear friends. So much to share. So much to tell you about. Solitude, Thassaran, Anwaru, Ikala... Oh my goodness. We're barely halfway through the world. So much to share. Oh, my home, you say. I was living in Keon as the High Magi of the King of Thassaran. However, I am from the Elven Kingdoms of Viltalban. I have served His Majesty for some 20 years now as Magi. For those unfamiliar, Magi were traditionally only used in service of Elven cities. Some years ago, Kaya, a representative of Thassaran, came to negotiate the opportunity for the kingdom to hire the use of their own Magi. I was offered the chance to come and serve in this capacity. I'm originally from Nazca, the capital city of the elves. The city is known for its beauty and proximity to the Sunburst Grove. The Grove is a marvelous and awe-inspiring garden of sorts, full of some of the rarest trees and plants. It is something of an attraction for the wandering adventurer. As one of the oldest races in Celensar, the elves have spent centuries cultivating this beautiful land and its guardians. To serve on the Sunburst Reserve is deemed quite an honor. My older brothers both spent more than a century in service to the reserve. There is so much of the world left to explain, but for now, my friends, let me tell you about the people. Yahweh has blessed this world with a great variety of peoples. Elves, dwarves, halflings, and orcs. Half-dwarves, merfolk, and tritons. Dragons? Well, of course, friends. What kind of world doesn't have at least a few of the ancient intelligent beasts? Perish the thought. They probably aren't that dangerous, though. I'm sure you and your friends will be fine. And oh, the goblins. So very many, but never fret. I'm sure they won't be an issue. Probably. Hope you've enjoyed our time today. It has been quite refreshing for me to share with someone in this time of uncertainty. But for now, good listeners, I must move on. There are always more stories to tell, as is my wont to do. So on I go. But before I leave, let me part with this. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May He make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may He turn His face towards you and give you peace, as He always does. So that was our tour of the world of Celensar, the home world of our 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign here at City on a Hill Gaming. I'm Ryan, the Dungeon Master, and we hope you've enjoyed this. Our second campaign will begin its first episodes this February of 2019. William, Daniel, and Ben will be returning, plus Jenny, Grant, and Peter will be joining from the Saving the Game podcast. You can find them on Twitter at Saving the Game or at stgcast.org. Thanks, and have a blessed day.
Thanks for joining us. For more episodes, check out cityonthehillgaming.com, iTunes, or other awesome podcast outlets. To contact us, email us at cityonthehillgaming@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at cityonthehillgame. Thanks, and have a blessed day.